If you want to return a value from a method, then doing so is pretty straightforward on how to get it to work. Here I've set up an example. We're just adding two numbers together and then returning the value and printing it out. And if we run it in Unity, we get exactly what we might expect. We get it to print out 8. However, the moment we change this return type from an integer to an I enumerator, it's going to start throwing us, of course, a bunch of errors because now we're trying to return an integer value, which we cannot do inside of a coroutine. So to fix this, because there is a way to do it, it's a little bit of a trick, we're going to delete all of this code. And in here, just to get rid of this error, I'm going to type yield return null because we do need to have a return type. And now within these parameters here, I'm going to add a third argument, and this is going to be of type action, which you may or may not have used before. And I'm going to open some greater than less than brackets and type int because that is the variable type we want to return. And I'm going to give it a name, which I'm going to call callback. And you're going to notice that it automatically imported the using system namespace for me. So if this is red squigglies here for you, make sure you have using system at the top. And here, what we can do is we can say int value equals num1 plus num2. And then we can go down and say callback. And then we can send through value. And it's going to return the value of these two added numbers. Now, the way we have to call this method is also a little bit different than what you might be used to. So let's go ahead and write start coroutine. We'll call getSum. And we're going to put through some numbers, 4, 10, sure, why not? Now, to do this callback, it's a little bit tricky. What we have to do is do open, close parentheses, and put the name of a variable that we want to store the value in here. So we could call this callback again. I'm going to call it result just to show you that it can be different. Then we're going to do a lambda expression, so equals greater than sign. Then I'm going to do open, close squiggly brackets. And just to keep it clean, I also like to put a line break here. We need to put a semicolon at the very end. And in here, I can put whatever code I want. So I'm just going to type print, and then I'm going to put result. Save, and we'll test this in Unity. And if we run this in Unity, we're going to see that, yeah, it works great. We now returned 14 from this coroutine. Now, you could even take this a little bit further if you wanted, and say we wanted to just rename this method from maybe getSum to do math. Why not? After this int, we'll type comma int, and then over here, we'll type sum comma difference. We'll rename this one from value to sum. I'll replace that one there with sum, and then we'll just declare another one. We'll call this one int difference, and we'll say num1 minus num2. We can now pass through two different arguments here, and we rename this one as well. So we're going to say print sum, and then we can say here print difference. And now if we go save and run that again in Unity, yes, we see that we get the two different results from this do math method, 14 and -6. And one final important thing to remember here is the order that code is called in when we're using coroutines, and that order can change slightly when you're using this callback functionality. To demonstrate, I'm going to add some additional print statements here. I'll say print before call. After the coroutine, I'll say print after call. And over here, I'm going to change this from yield return null to yield return, and we'll just put 2-second delay in here. And let's actually see the order of when this code gets called. Okay, so we're entering play mode here. Look, before call, after call, and then 2 seconds later, we get the results. So a very important distinction, because coroutines run asynchronously, meaning that the main thread is not going to wait for this to finish. It's going to just execute this code, and then this code immediately without waiting for the coroutine to finish. So we do need to pay attention to when this callback is running and make sure that we're not screwing things up by running code at times we're not expecting it to run. So that's all. Thanks for watching. I hope this made sense. If you have any questions, let me know.